Okay, I just want to talk a little bit about the Powerball jackpot here. I wanted to do this the other day. I just forgot about it, and then whatever. Somebody won it, whatever, right now. But there's a lot of weird, interesting things here. So the last time that somebody won the Powerball was on 11/4/2015. Interesting. The date numerology: 11 plus 4 plus 20. Can't even type here, but 15 adds up to 50. If you take out the 20, it also adds up to 30. Just like today's date. 1 plus 13 plus 20 plus 16. That adds up to 50, and if you take out the 20, it also adds up to 30. So the last time somebody won was on the same date numerology. Just interesting, I've mentioned a lot about Super Bowl 50 and how I've talked about how it's tied in. I think it's tied into the Chicago Bears that won 30 years ago because of the movie Back to the Future. The Royals won 30 years ago, the same day that Back to the Future ends, October 27th, 1985. And then the Kansas City Chiefs seem to be coded to the Chicago Bears and whatnot. The Chicago Bears, Chicago equals 46 in Gematria. They won with 46 points, beating the Patriots, who the Chiefs play on this Saturday, upcoming Saturday. The Chiefs won 30-0 in their playoff game against Houston. The last game that the Patriots have played, they lost with a total score of 30. They lost 20-10 to the Miami Dolphins. The last time that the Chiefs won a Super Bowl was 46 years ago. The score was 7-23. It added up to 30. There's just lots of interesting things, going into Super Bowl 50. But another thing I wanted to point out, the jackpot here, $1.5 billion. Even if you go to CNN here, this is the article, it brings you up to $1.5 billion. If you write out $1.5 billion in Gematria, or just 1.5 billion even, it adds up to 106, and also 223, like the synagogue of Satan, like Masonic, and lots of other words that go along with this. Even skull and crossbones tied into the Skull and Bones Society with George Bush and John Kerry. But the 106 it's just been foreshadowed a lot. This year we had the Philadelphia train wreck that was going 106 miles an hour with the engine number 601. A lot of things have tied back to that. Lawrence Phillips even turned 40 years old on the same day of the Philadelphia train wreck. Interesting about Lawrence Phillips, too. He died today on 1/13. The 113th prime is even 40, just like the age that he died. It said they found him at 127 in the morning, and he was serving a 31-year sentence. Well, the 31st prime, you got it, 127. Also, in Pythagorean Gematria, if you write 1.5 billion and then you put dollars on the end, it comes out to 133. I mean, interesting number. I've seen this a lot. Just like the mark of the beast, 603 Even if you write out Pope Francis is the Antichrist, adds up to 133. He became Pope on March 13th, which in other countries, they write the date as 13/3 even. I also forgot to mention 223 as the curse of the billy goat. I'm not even going to write it in there. It takes too long, but the curse of the billy goat adds up to 223. That ties into the Chicago Cubs, which also ties back into Back to the Future. They were supposed to win the World Series this year and whatnot. But the guy who cursed the Cubs was Billy Sionis, who adds up to 131. Super Bowl adds up to 131. I have it all written down here, but there's been a lot of 131 and 107. One of the things I didn't realize until today, I watched Explorer One's video, and Charlie Sheen adds up to 107. And if you write out the word 131, it adds up to 107. Charlie Sheen, interesting. He just came out and he went off of his medicine or whatever, and then now he's starting to fail, so he's going to have to get back on his medicine, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole other agenda along with that, but Interesting, he's Charlie. You got Prince Charles, who if Queen Elizabeth dies will become King Charles, who adds up to 107. Prince Charles, 131. Also, we've talked a lot about the assassination of Obama. Once again, JFK, or John F. Kennedy, 131. If you write out his full name, 107. But anyway, in regards to that, earlier today I talked about Obama being in Omaha, Nebraska, just right after there was a fire and an explosion, and they interrupted the Chiefs game and whatnot. But Omaha, Nebraska adds up to 109. He gave a speech at Baxter Arena that adds up to 109. Then I talked about the death of Lawrence Phillips. And Lawrence Phillips, he played for Nebraska. Obama gave his speech at UNO, which adds up to 50, just like the Super Bowl. But Obama gave a speech there, and this school is actually part of the same system as University of Nebraska at Lincoln. So it does tie into the Lawrence Phillips death. Lawrence Phillips was known for being a Ram for most of his career, also finished his career at the 49ers. But the St. Louis Rams just moved to Los Angeles. Los Angeles adds up to 109. And now we have the Powerball winner, who it doesn't have his name yet, but it says the ticket was sold in Chino Hills, California. I mean, Chino Hills. 109. I mean, what are the odds of that? If you put the word California on there, 107, right? I mean, come on. Interesting, Cheeto Hill, or... So, who knows? Maybe there'll be more winners. Just really sticks out to me. These numbers have been popping up a lot in the news and whatnot. But also, if you look at the history of Chino Hills, of course it's located in San Bernardino County. We just had the San Bernardino shooting and whatnot. But the date numerology, the city was incorporated 12/1/91. I mean, 12 plus 1 plus 91 equals 104. Just like if you write out the word Powerball. Powerball equals 41 and 104. Interesting, Skull and Bones. We talked a lot about the Nebraska Cornhuskers and how their defense was tied into the Skull and Bones and whatnot. They're called the Black Shirts. Black Shirts adds up to 41. Here's some interesting 41s here. This was the coach of Nebraska when they got the Black Shirts. So his name adds up to 41. He even died on May 9th. That adds up to 41. Nebraska plays in Memorial Stadium, Memorial 41. If you write out Husker fans, it adds up to 41. Interesting, I talked about the defense, and I've made a bunch of videos recently on the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, and if they win it, they're going to have to win with their defense, because Jamal Charles is out, and Jeremy Maclin is out. Jeremy Maclin adds up to 56, an interesting number because it's tied into the Paris attacks and whatnot. But, I mean, they're going to have to win with their defense. So I never put that all together. I've been covering this since August, or even clear back to Valentine's Day if you want to throw in the Teen Wolf stuff dealing with the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Interesting, too, in this article here, it talks about the winner or whatever, and then it talks about, according to Texas lottery officials earlier today, there was an 85.8% of the possible number combinations have been sold. So 85.8, interesting, the mirrors 85 and 58. I've talked a lot about 85 and 58 tying into earthquakes, and Chino Hills also. If you scroll through here, you read about the Chino Hills earthquake. There was a 5.4 earthquake. It was the largest earthquake to affect Southern California since this earthquake. So, I mean, who knows if that really is that significant. It is California. They have earthquakes all the time. But the number 58 is just super significant to earthquake. And I'll just list a few off here. Richter scale equals 58. Seismograph equals 58. Even the study of earthquakes, seismology, it dates clear back to Thales, the writings of Thales, in 585 BCE. Charles Richter died in the year 1985 at the age of 85. I even talked about an East Coast earthquake, and the last biggest East Coast earthquake was in, I think, 2012. It was a 5.8. The last one before that was in 1944, and it was also a 5.8. And then the one before that, the biggest one ever recorded on the East Coast of the United States or of America, was literally like 58 years and 5 days before the one in 1944. I mean, just lots of 58 and 85 surrounding earthquakes. So, interesting. Also, the reason I even brought that up is because earthquake adds up to 107, just like Chino Hills, California, where the guy or whoever won the Powerball. And I mean, wouldn't you know, you write out winning Powerball ticket in Gematria adds up to 109. Just like where the winner was from, Chino Hills, 109. I mean, there's a lot more to this. This is probably one of the worst videos I've made as far as information and whatnot. I just kind of wanted to post a little bit about it because I mentioned like 3 videos back, I've been seeing the number 109 a lot connecting to Philadelphia, right? So now I'm starting to see a connection to earthquake, which makes me stand out because I've talked about the East Coast earthquake that I think is possible. So I just felt like making this video, I guess. So, who knows? Maybe more people will come out and win and blah, 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 blah. I personally do not think that anybody actually wins this. I think it's all just a scam. I don't know if they just take a random picture of somebody or what, a Mason or whatever. I just don't think that anybody actually wins this whatsoever. I think it's all just a big ploy to get everybody involved, waste all of their money. I bought a ticket anyway, just in case, but whatever, But look at this here. Another reason why I think it's something to do with earthquake. Charles Francis Richter. Type his name in Gematria. He adds up to 109 as well. I mean, super interesting. And of course, he died the same year that the Royals won the World Series, just before the Bears won the Super Bowl later on that year. So, I mean, just interesting. I've been talking about 30 years ago, and this guy adds up to 109 as well. Also, I watched some of the footage today of the Obama in Omaha. It was all over the news and whatnot. And one of the first things that Obama mentions, he says, "Hello, Omaha," and then he mentions their hockey team making it to the Frozen Four again. Interesting. I mean, that is a very interesting thing. He really got the crowd going with it. But Frozen 4 adds up to 144. This number is all over political assassinations. I mean, Obama, the 44th president, if you write out 44, 144. April 4th, kind of like 4-4, adds up to 144. This is the day that Martin Luther King Jr. died. It's also the same day that the first president ever to die in office died. Also, if you write out Mark of the Beast, it adds up to 144. The last 144 digits after the decimal of pi add up to, if you add them up, it adds up to 666. This number also ties into Moses. We've had like the Syrian Exodus and whatnot. Oop, forgot the S there. Moses, the Syrian Exodus. There's been lots of foreshadowing of Abraham Lincoln. I mean, Obama even named the Thanksgiving turkeys that he pardoned this year Honest and Abe. But Moses adds up to 71. There's 144,000 of the chosen in the Bible or whatever. Or the 12 tribes of Israel, 12,000 times 12,000. 144,000. It's even the size of the New Jerusalem. But if you write out the word 71, 71 adds up to 144. And Super Bowl 50 adds up to 71, which makes me wonder if there might be an earthquake at Super Bowl 50, only for the fact that San Francisco is who's hosting the Super Bowl. Also in the 1989 World Series, there was the earthquake. And I'm running out of time, but this ties into Back to the Future and the World Series this year and the one in 85. There's also this earthquake in 1906. in San Francisco that just so happened to be 109 years ago. So I guess we'll see how it all plays out. Have a good night.